Hey, everyone. It's Dr. Sacheen. Welcome to the live stream. It's been a kind of a little bit of a snafu trying to get it done. Oh, there's the fan behind me. Oh, well. So, this is perfect. Got some cloud moving in. So, hopefully, the light is good. Hopefully, the light is good. But you know what? I'm going to trust. I have all the lights on because there's clouds and then sun and then clouds. And you know how it is. So, the light starts to get wonky, which starts to mess with whether or not you all can see me. But hang on a second. Put that right there. Welcome. It's Dr. Sasheen, and today we're talking about the recession. Everybody is talking about the recession, right? Literally, you cannot go on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube or anywhere without getting talk about the recession. Let me try to move this closer to me. Oh no. That's Frankie. Frankie is a philodendron, and he's the newest my son named it, newest addition to our family. Anyway, so make sure this is where you can hear me. Okay, so let's talk today about the 5 industries that I see as being pretty recession proof and why you should think about transitioning out of your day job because those jobs are not loyal and into an industry that is actually poised to go really far, even in spite of a recession. And I'll tell you why I think that. But first of all, I'm Dr. Sasheen. You have reached my channel. I am the founder of Living and Loving Your Best Communication and the author of The Anxiety Solution and The Magic of Starting Over. And I am an expatriate from the world of higher education, and I help professional women, Black women, to transition out of professional jobs that actually do not value them, do not take care of them, and are not loyal to them, into either retirement, which a lot of you could do and you don't realize it, or into your own business because entrepreneurs and small businesses are actually the driving engine of an economy and are a lot more recession proof than that job. So, welcome to my to the live stream. Like, subscribe, and share. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Trying to get the numbers up. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. I'm not as much on TikTok, so there you go. All right, so I have had a great morning in terms of getting ready for this particular live. I really want to do my homework. So I have a lot of notes, a lot of homework here. See, because I want to make sure I come to you with information that is useful to you and with more than just the gloom and doom, or better yet, invest in the stock market, invest in crypto as we watch these things start to tank, right? Invest your money and ride the wave, as Warren Buffett says, sell when they're buying and buy when they're selling. And that's great. But I also think that there has to be a secondary narrative here because for a lot of people, they can't do that. They can't invest in the stock market. They can't invest in crypto right now. They don't have the wherewithal because inflation has got things literally eating their lunch, right? And so, as strange as it may sound for a lot of the people who are going to watch this and go, why would I quit my job to start a business, Dr. Sasheen? Isn't that ridiculous? Well, let me explain something to you. You might think that your job is the best haven for you during a recession, but it's actually one of the worst places that you can be because a lot of companies are going to tighten their belt during the recession, and the way that they're going to do it is they're going to cut jobs. If you don't believe me, if you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, you see that today I've been kind of dripping out information about companies such as Tesla and Netflix, higher education, and the tech industry itself are just gradually rescinding job offers, laying off, Netflix just laid off 3% of their workforce because their earnings are not the way they used to be. Why? Because there's more competition. We've all got things we can do now. And in a recession, when we are thinking about what we're going to spend our dollars on, we're not going to give up our entertainment. So that's one of the industries that never really seems to go under is entertainment because we all want to escape, right? But we have options now. And Netflix is unfortunately a victim of its own its own founding in that it introduced us to this world of streaming, right? And first it was videos and discs, and then it was Netflix and on TV. And now it's like, oh, now we've got Netflix, we've got Hulu, we've got Amazon Prime, we have Apple TV, we have, everyone's got a streaming service. So what does the company do? They start laying off employees. Now, I follow a lot of consultants because I myself am a consultant. I help, like I said, I help professional women to expatriate from the job that they're in into a life that's better for them, better suited for them, and actually works for their own bottom line. And so I follow a couple of consultants who I really appreciate, because the first thing that they say is when a company starts to shrink its workforce to bolster its bottom line, you know that something's wrong at the top. Because the reality is, you can shrink the workforce all you want to. The work that you're now putting out on the other people who have to stay behind and do the work means that work's just not going to get done, and you're not actually helping your bottom line. So, we know that Netflix is raising their prices, they're trying to become more competitive, but the bottom line is that they're shedding 3% of their workforce. Tesla, right up there as well, laid off some execs. This made big news, right? When Musk was trying to to buy Twitter. Big news was, okay, so then he laid off a bunch of execs because, trimming the fat. You start at the top, you trim some of the fat on the auspices of, if you don't want to come back to work then in the office, then you don't need to work here. Okay, trimming the fat because, stock prices are tanking. But also, they're laying off 500 or 600 people that they just hired. New hires are expensive, people. They are very expensive. Hiring people is expensive. Getting, the search is expensive. All the paperwork is expensive. That's why you have an HR department, or you hire headhunters. Then you got to get them into the organization. You've got to get them trained into the organization. Even though they bring a skill set of what they're good at, you still have to get them into the organization and up to speed. So a new employee is quite costly. So how do you get around some of that cost? You fire 500 folks, boom, that you just hired, and you rescind contract offers that you've sent out there, which means you no longer have to worry about benefits and salary and time off and commuting and relocating and possible expenses. You've just gotten rid of all that. All that to say, if you just got your dream job at Tesla on Monday and by Friday you got a letter saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, we're actually no longer going to offer you that job, that contract, so it's now null and void." That has got to be the most horrific blow that you could possibly have come to you. And it's not just happening in Tesla. It's also happening in a lot of other companies that you don't know the name, like we don't know the names of, but it's happening. The US tech industry alone has shed over 20,000 jobs in the first 6 months of this year. And tech has been a pretty stable bubble for a long time. Everyone was like, oh, go into tech, go into IT. There are tech jobs, tech jobs, tech jobs. There are tech jobs. They are out there. The problem is there are also a lot of freelancers now, and the work from home movement is gaining momentum, and companies are not able to compete. The juxtaposition of this whole video about the recession and moving in your job because your jobs aren't loyal is that there's a workforce shortage in a lot of industries where we don't have nearly enough people to do those jobs. And so we're feeling that in the grocery stores, right? We're feeling that at the drugstore when we can't find things because we can't keep the shelves stocked because we can't get the supply chain has been disrupted because we don't have enough truck drivers. And yet other companies are laying off employees because they're not making the kind of money that they were expecting because they didn't see the supply chain issues coming. I don't know why they couldn't see it. COVID's literally locked us down for 2.5 years, and we lost over 1 million people. But that's beside the point. So you have workforce shortages in a lot of industries. But at the same time, you have a lot of industries and businesses that are going, we got too many folks here. So, and we need to do something about this and trim the fat. So what happens? You start to lose your job. Now, I am telling you, if you're watching this video, that there are industries that will do well in a recession. They are industries that have withstood recessions in the past, and there are two of them that are brand new that I'm really excited about, and there are three of them that are just their bulk works against recessions, and I'll tell you why when I get to them. But what you want to remember for the purpose of this video, as you're taking your notes, is that you do not have to wait for your job to lay you off. You do not have to wait for your job to double your workload and pay you less. You don't have to wait for your job to freeze your raises or things of that nature. I put one of the info points I put out today was about higher education and how tenure used to be the thing to get because it was the security against anything happening to you. Well, that's not true anymore. Tenure professors are being fired. They're being laid off because universities also having to trim the fat, and that's my bailiwick. That's where I come from, so that's what I talk about the most. But I have a lot of friends in other professions who are talking about what they see coming down the turnpike. So let's get into it. I'm going to give you 5 industries that I think are recession proof as we walk into this 2022 recession. I don't think people are being hyperbolic when they call it a recession. I think it's definitely a recession, but I don't think it's time to panic. I think it's time to get smart about what you can do to make sure that your bottom line is being served the most. So, industry number one, oddly enough, is a new one, and I love it. It's drone operations. Now, 10 years ago, what did we know about drones? We knew that they were these things the military used to do something, usually someplace else. With the advent of personal drone technology, industries have popped up that really rely on drone technology and drone operators. And if you are in the tech industry, the engineering sector, the science sector, the mechanical sector, this is an industry that is ripe and open. So some of the examples of things in this industry that I came across were drone operators for various things, for parties, entertainment, for pictures, vacation pictures. I see some amazing vacation pictures on Instagram that I know were taken by drone operators, and every single one of those people are not lugging their drone to their vacation destinations, right? And so, owning a company that outsources drone operations for entertainment, vacation, family photos, the kind of pictures that you can take, the kind of perspectives that you can get. This is really fascinating, and it's a brand new industry. The second, secondly, you have um, mapping, and I think it's called scaling. So in several industries such as the public sector, government, engineering, where you have to map land, map cities, map infrastructure, where you need the aerial view. If you are an owner operator of a drone, you can you can get contracts that allow you to do that kind of work. This is an interesting field because it's no holds barred right now. You just need to get certified to either operate a drone, or this is even better, if you have the wherewithal and the tech knowledge to understand how drones work at a basic level, enough to hire people to work for your company, and then you have the business acumen. And trust me, if you've been doing any profession, you have a business acumen that is untapped. Then you start the business that allows you to hire drone operators for a fraction of the cost of what you'll need to learn the drone, to drive the drone yourself, and you outsource the jobs to the drone operators. It is a fantastic opportunity that I was really quite surprised that it came up in so many ways, and in so many things that I found, because I love drone technology. I think it's really some of the best technology that's come along so far. I love it. And again, I love it from the entertainment perspective. I love seeing the pictures of people standing on cliffs and getting this drone shot of these beautiful homes or these beautiful pictures of people. I love that. But imagine if you're in real estate and you had access to someone with drone technology who could do walkthroughs of a home and you never had to show up. Virtual mapping for virtual tours is something that drone technology can do. So, anyway, that's the first industry, drone technology, and either becoming an owner operator, an operator yourself, or an owner and have other operators underneath your belt. Second industry is also very new, though I can remember back in the day, I'm gonna date myself here, when we thought it was so cool that you could watch things like Godzilla with these little red and green 3D glasses, and we thought that was just the best thing ever. It was the height of technology. Well, AR and VR have come a long way, baby, with the advent of Oculus and the putting of in the hands of the average American, the average consumer, virtual reality and augmented reality. The world is an open book. And at this point, we need so much more than we're getting, because there are just not as many businesses yet that are utilizing augmented reality or virtual reality. So, what's the difference? Virtual reality is when you step into a world through a device. So, Oculus being a device. Augmented reality is when you see, for instance, if you drive certain cars, on the screen, on the windshield wiper, or on the windshield of the car, can be projected information that's augmenting your reality. Things that may not be there in real time, but are on your screen for you to see. You see this a lot now in televised football games here in the United States, where you'll see lines on the field that aren't actually on the field. They're augmented on the field so that the viewer can see what's happening and get some perspective, but they're not actually on the field. That's augmentation of reality. What can we do? it the the applications of AR and VR are just unlimited at this point. Again, I think of the sectors that are most impacted by augmented reality, entertainment, sports, but also in virtual reality, we now have the metaverse, Web 3.0, and things that are happening inside those that particular platform are going to continue to grow and expand. So if you are a gamer, you work in tech, if you have a passion for art, you have a passion for history, things that you never thought could make it in augmented reality or virtual reality scenarios can actually be used in those scenarios to create whole worlds, to create whole storylines for gaming, to start your own app about to sorry. I had something happen over here. Um to use your skill set to start a company, to start a business that will allow you to work in augmented reality or virtual reality. I was so interested in the fact that there are concerts being held inside the metaverse. Big name stars are holding concerts inside the metaverse. Well, you know what that requires? People to not only put the concert on, like, people who would put them on in real time, Live Nation and things of that nature. You also need designers, coders, storylines for game. I mean, so many avenues are open for exploration in VR and AR. And so many people who work in tech right now are well positioned to be able to create a business that puts a team together that creates virtual and augmented worlds that are going to just people are buying real estate in the metaverse. So if you think I'm kidding, just you wait. And with the advent of coins, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Dogcoin, whatever, um, being the currency in that real time, there's just so many things that this particular industry is poised to do. Now, how is this recession proof? Because I can hear you saying, yeah, but if I don't have an Oculus or the Google glasses or da 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 da, then because this is why I got put it on my list. Because virtual reality allows people to not have to spend money on other things. The more people spend in their home, and we've gotten really used to being at home in our own space. So the more things come to us that allow us to be entertained and feel like we're in the world, the more money is ripe for the making. Because this is all about making sure that you are recession proof, right? And so if you're bringing entertainment, if you're bringing education, oh my gosh, the absolute explosive opportunities. If you're in education and you're not thinking about how to become part of the virtual reality world in terms of education, you are missing out. You're absolutely missing out, but I'll get to that in a minute. So there's so many industries at this point which would be well served by becoming more digital, more augmented, and more virtual, that all of you out there listening in those industries should be looking around going, I do X, Y, and Z on a daily basis. And if I took what I know about X, Y, and Z industry and turned it into an app or turned it into a business inside the metaverse, I could be the first, or I could ride the wave, because that's what happens, right? You get on the ground floor and you ride the wave, or you become part of the movement, and the metaverse is not going anywhere. Remember, there were people who once thought that the internet was just fad, and yet here we are. So the second industry is AR VR technology. Industry number three. Okay, so the next three industries, uh, and I have a bonus one, so stay tuned. Stay to the end because I have a bonus one. But the next four are tried and true. They just are always going to be around. From the time of the first recession, God knows when, to where we are now, we are going to need these industries, and we're going to need people with businesses within these industries to make it palatable for us to continue to function. The first is infrastructure. Not sexy. There's nothing sexy about infrastructure. There's nothing sexy about road construction and bridge construction and dam building. There's nothing sexy about potholes or stop signs or barriers. There's nothing sexy about trucking and delivery services and pipelines and supply chains. Nothing sexy about how to move all that stuff around and keep people safe. But you know what it is? It's extremely lucrative. And here's why. We are just signed $1 billion infrastructure bill. States are literally scrambling to find people because they don't have enough workers and enough people bidding for jobs to fulfill the promise, the mandate of the federal government to do infrastructure for real this time. In comes the people out there watching me who are going to say, oh my gosh, I'm in engineering, I'm in mechanics, I'm in architecture, I have a landscaping, I have a landscaping background, I work in this industry, I work in textiles, I work in this industry. Infrastructure is such a massive behemoth. And you're going to say, but a lot of big companies are going to get in there. Exactly. There's so much to be done. This is an opportune time for the little guys, the startups, the small businesses to get in and not be, to undercut the big guys. Because there are certain jobs that, I mean, if you're a one person shop, a one woman shop, you can't do. But there are certain things that the little guy can do more efficiently and more nimbly. And you have the power, because I know you have the power and the skill to understand what you can do really well and quickly, that it will take the big guys years to do, and they will fumble it and they will overcharge, and it'll be a slop show. So, infrastructure encompasses a lot of different areas, from construction to maintenance. And so what you can do is identify your strength. And I'm talking specifically here to a lot of women who work in labor industries, who do not get the kind of respect that they deserve in those industries, who do not get the kind of pay that they deserve in those industries, but who are doing the same kind of work, who can more than run the company that sends the workers out. Wouldn't you rather be the boss of that company than to continue just to take the paycheck that is being eaten alive by everything else? And so infrastructure is not going anywhere. It is always, always, always there. No matter what happens, we have got to keep things moving. We've got to keep things shored up. We can't have bridges falling apart. People are going to sue us. We can't have things being left broken. Cities cannot function. And so infrastructure is a recession proof industry. And underneath that umbrella are so many businesses that are not going to go away, that we would be foolish to not include it in a list of businesses to think about as recession gets started. Number 4, childcare and elder care. Again, people still work in a recession. They have to work more in a recession sometimes to make the ends meet together. And because of that, they still need childcare. And if they're in the sandwich generation, they still need elder care, because they simply can't do it all, especially if they're working more than one job. These this industry, these two industries, I lump them together as service care, family care. The family care industry is a booming $1 billion industry. It's not going to go anywhere, even in a recession, because the need is so great. So now I'm talking to my social scientists out there, my social workers who've been in the system so long and they're burned out, you're jaded, you've gotten your MSW, you've tried to do something. My suggestion to you is start your own childcare business, start your own elder care, daycares. The ability to work with the elderly, if that's your population of choice, is out there and ripe for the taking. People are spending a lot of money, and governments are trying to subsidize elder care and child care as well, because it can get so expensive. But either way, people are willing to still spend a lot of money to help for someone else to help them take care of their family care. Doesn't matter how bad the economy gets, people still have to work. So somebody still has to watch the kids, and somebody still has to watch mom and dad or grandma and grandpa, especially at a time when families are smaller and that extended family is not as big as it used to be. And everybody in the family has to work. So there's no one to just kind of hang out and watch kids after school, and grandma and grandpa or mom and dad, until someone gets home. And so the best thing that you can do if you're in the social field and the social safety net field of family care is to think about how you can start daycares. And for those of you who are like, well, I don't really want to work with kids or the elderly. Pet care also $1 billion industry and growing and growing. And the same holds true for pet care, though I hesitate to add pet care, though I know it should be on here, only because I do think that in a pinch, people are going to be less likely to send their pet to doggy daycare than they are to send their kid to daycare, especially if they have to make a choice between one or the other. And so the industry itself it's always been struggling to have enough practitioners within it. And it can be, and I want to make this clear, it can be a very difficult industry just because kids the elderly, a lot of liability. And I'm talking about this from from the business perspective, not from the human perspective. So please understand that. But you need to carry a lot of insurance. There's a lot of liability. There are a lot of bad actors in the field. And if you can start a company that actually lives up to the promise of caring for people's children or family members in a kind and caring way, while at the same time being reasonably priced, reasonably priced being up to you and what you have to do to get your business started, but being reasonably priced and providing a level of care that so many of these places right now simply do not provide, your business is going to explode in a recession. Because again, people have to work. So someone's got to watch the kids and someone's got to watch mom and dad or grandma and grandpa. All right. Next, we have number 5 is education. Education. Let's talk about my my particular field. In the world of higher education, I am watching an implosion um, from top to bottom. Higher education is run like a business, and the bottom line is that the business is bloated. And there are a lot of elements that have led to kind of the issues in higher education today. So, what does that mean for all my teachers out there? Hello, all of my professors out there who have not yet gotten tenure or who've gotten tenure but are no longer safe? What that means is you need to think about where the demand is for your services and begin to go in that direction if you want to stay in higher education. And it is not face to face for your universities anymore. The real demand seems to be coming from 3 areas: certifications, professional certifications. And if you're a professional and you're not actively in the certification game, offering certifications, figuring out how to get a slice of that pie, come on now. Certifications, technical degrees, talk about that more in a minute, and community colleges. Or community colleges slash self-paced study. Okay, so certifications. First and foremost, number one, certification game is a billion-dollar industry. Here we go again. You hear what I'm saying here. I know that people like to poo-poo billion-dollar industries as bloated and they're not going to last. There are just certain industries that can't go away. You don't actually want the person who's coming to work on your HVAC system to not know what they're doing. You want them to be certified in HVAC. You want them to have taken some courses, studied some schematics so they know how to read one, um, and not just picked up a book from the library on Monday and decided to go into business on Tuesday. You want to have some kind of mechanism by which to judge certain types of industry. That's where you come in. If you work in those kinds of industries, you have the natural in. Even if you don't, if you work in education, you understand how to educate the human. If you work in higher education, you understand how to educate the adult human. And you are well poised to be able to create certification programs, to align with certain industries, to offer certification programs or certification testing, all kinds of ways to help certifications, professional certifications continue to move forward. And again, there are so many shortages in certain industries. Like I said, people are getting laid off left, right, and center, but there are certain industries that are really laboring under some heavy duty labor shortages. And to have organizations that can come in and help to get people trained and certified in a particular profession is a gold mine waiting for people who are ingenious enough to get up on it, to get up on the opportunity. And so, professional certifications is the first one in education. Number 2, self-paced study. Courses. You hear courses. Everyone talks about courses, and we want to poo-poo courses, especially if we work in education, if we actually work in the classroom. We want to poo-poo courses and self-paced study and things of that nature as not truly being in education. But let me explain something to you. There is a billion-dollar industry, at least multi-million-dollar industry at this point, um, industry of courses out there, of platforms, Udemy, Teachable, gosh, I'm going to forget some of the other course platforms, Skillshare, where people are going and teaching themselves how to do a lot of different things. And a lot of people are going to argue that, well, but that's not really education. And I'm going to say, then you have lost the plot on education. It is not the case. anymore that people want to go and spend 4 years at a university to get the degree in things that they don't know what they're going to do with once they get done with it. There are a lot of different ways now to get highly educated, highly educated. The certification programs. I can go on YouTube and take an entire course on cybersecurity for free. 10 hours, 10 to 20 hours of, and then register with an organization to take a test to verify that I am certified in that which I have just studied for 10 hours for free on YouTube. You tell me where the actual push for education is. With places like YouTube, which you're watching me on now, or maybe catching the replay on, Udemy, Teachable, those places that where professionals are going to offer their expertise and sell and upsell, whether it's a course or a book or a consultation to work with them one-on-one to help you change careers, whatever the case may be. If you're in education and you're not taking full advantage of this opportunity, then you're crazy. There's literally no reason to worry about whether or not you're going to get tenure or publish or perish when you literally don't have to. No one reads the dry academic tomes anyway, so put that to the side. But most importantly, your skills and expertise at actually teaching content can actually make you money, and a lot of money, if you package it in a way that appeals to people who have, I got 3 hours on a Saturday and 6 hours maybe I can get 6 hours this week. Self-paced course education. This is the thing of the future. This is the wave of the future, as well as education in the metaverse. And that's not going to look like standard college. And unfortunately, and this is going to be the rub for a lot of people in higher education, where the jobs are is not what we're teaching necessarily. And we're not teaching to the job. We'll have that argument later, but we have to teach something that allows people to get a job that will allow them to have a life and not just spend all their time paying back those student loans. And one of the ways that I've encouraged people that I work with to think about their education is, what is it that you want your education to do for you? Not what do you want to do with your education, but what do you want the education that you're getting to do for you? And when you answer that question in that way, then you begin to look at education as something, as a skill, a commodity that you own. No one can ever take it from you, so make sure it works for you. But on the flip side, back to the teachers and the educators out there, this is where you come in. This is where you come in. Because guess what population is growing in education? Community colleges, or the technical degree. The technical degree, moving away from self-paced education, the technical degrees offered at community colleges are growing, and they're in high demand. Those certifications, remember I was just talking about those? The technical degrees are in high demand because, again, there is a shortage of technically proficient people in some really important aspects of our lives, and that's growing. We need wind farm operators, we need electricians, we need plumbers, we need HVAC people, we need construction workers, we need people who are technically proficient. And in order to be technically proficient, someone has to teach you the trade. Well, we don't have technical schools anymore. So community colleges are picking up that slack, but there is a rumble in the ether to bring back tech schools. And let me tell you, private schools pay really well. They pay really well. If you were, say, to start a private school because you are an electrician or you are an educator or you're married to a plumber, and you start an academy and you begin to partner with contractors there's just so many tentacles for education to grow and expand in a recession. But let me tell you what's not going to grow and expand in a recession. And that is your traditional 4-year degree. Because let me tell you something, no one's sending their kid to I'll put it to you like this. The people who are going to lose money in a recession are not going to spend 10 grand a year on their kid to go to school. They're going to send their kid to get a job because they need to help out at home. The people who are willing to spend the money for the child to go to school are going to send their kids to school to study things that allow that child, to go into a profession that's going to pay it back 2 or 3 times over. That's where the divide starts to grow. Your job, should you choose to accept it, is to start a business that fills in the in between. That fills in the in between. That's how so many industries have gotten started in recessions, because someone looked around and said, There's a group doing this over here and a group doing this over here, but there's this gap in the middle. And there are a lot of people in this gap who could use something, not this, but this. And I know how to do that. Education is one of those gaps. And I strongly recommend that educators out there really start thinking about making it their work to, instead of just showing up, teaching a class, getting a paycheck, going home and sweating whether or not they're going to have a job or tenure next year, to think about how they can take their love of education, turn it into a business that actually works for their bottom line and still serves a population of students who are wildly underserved and in great need of education. All right. So you stuck with me this far, 35 minutes. Oh my gosh. You stuck with me this far. And for that, I give you a bonus industry. Ha ha ha. Kind of fits under infrastructure, but it's one of its own things. And this is cleaning. Cleaning. You're like, what? People aren't going to say keep cleaning their, hiring cleaners. Yes, they are. They absolutely are. I'm talking about specialized cleaning, corporate cleaning, police forces, government, corporations, yes, people who own homes as well. But cleaning never goes away. Someone has to clean up. Someone absolutely has to clean up. And the reason that someone has to clean up is because people still go to work and things have to be cleaned. So, as I said from the top, corporations, IBM is not going to clean their own offices. Tesla's not going to clean their own offices or their own factories, and they're not going to pay their workers to do it. Amazon doesn't clean its own warehouse. And by the way, the reason I don't talk about Amazon very much, is twofold. Number one, Amazon may rise or fall. It's a behemoth, but we all know that behemoths can, here today, gone tomorrow. Blockbuster is a great example of that. Amazon turns over almost 100% of their employees every year, especially in the warehouse. There is no job loyalty there. And I would assume that if you are going to work for Amazon, you are not going to work for Amazon to stay at Amazon. You're going to work for Amazon to get yourself to the next thing. I'm really excited that they got their union, but it's not going to make that much difference. Amazon turns over almost 100% of their workforce, their labor force, every year. Every year. So why even talk about a company that's their business model and they're completely fine with that? So don't go work for Amazon. All right. So back to corporate cleaning. Amazon doesn't clean its own warehouses. The federal government, and think of the government itself, not just federal, at every level where there is a government building, someone has to clean that building. And there are contracts for those types of businesses to get in. So government, private businesses, public institutions, education, universities, small businesses who need to have their place cleaned once a month, law enforcement. And when I talk about cleaning, I'm not just talking about dusting and mopping. I'm talking about things like crime scene cleanup, um, facilities management. This is an industry that literally is recession proof. It's absolutely recession proof. There are people outside in your home somewhere who has someone out there cleaning their car on their property because they don't want to take it to the car wash, but it needs to be clean. The cleaning industry, whether it's facilities or cars or homes, never goes away. It is recession proof and it is always ripe for new entries because there's such a high turnover. Why? Because labor can be difficult to acquire in these industries, but if you can get your business and your labor together and you gain the reputation for being reliable, consistent, you can charge people whatever you want to. Because if you show up and you do the job right and you do it on time and you don't belabor the point and you bill quickly and you bill quickly, you cash quickly, you move on, your repeat customers will grow your business. You can charge people whatever the heck you want to. So those are the 6 industries that I think are recession proof in 2022. Comment and tell me if you think that I have missed something, or if you work in one of these industries and you can see how you can begin to work on your own exit plan from your professional job into one of these industries because you're already in it or because you want to be in it, and how you might go about doing that. And if you want to know more about what I do, check me out on my Facebook page. I'm always over there posting things, kind of talking to people about getting the heck out of that job that is not going to be loyal to you, but also what to do after that. This is one of those videos that's here's what to do next. Here's what you do when you've decided it's time to quit your job and you don't know that you're ready to retire, but you really want to control the bottom line of your own life. And you don't want to be at the mercy of corporations, which they're going to trim the fat. It's just how it is. It just is what it is. Just watch the stock market. You can see what's going to happen. And since you don't want to be at the mercy of those things, and what you want to be is a company, a person, whatever, that controls your own bottom line and that brings in the money necessary to take care of you and your family without the reliance on a corporation's fickleness to do so, then this is the video for you. And I might be the person that you need to talk to about, hey, how do I do that? What do I need to do to my mind to get ready for that? What do I need to do to my life to get ready for that? And more importantly, how do I not procrastinate so that I don't do it and I end up stuck where I am this time next year? If you want to get in touch with me directly, my email address is support@sacheenmobley.com. Again, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and here at YouTube. That's it for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Take care, everyone. Bye.